Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy, Big Blue Drew 97 here, coming at you with another My Hero Academia manga chapter review, specifically of manga chapter 272, titled Good Morning, which, to the people in the audience, good morning, or good evening, or good night, depending on when you watch this video. How's your day so far? Are you enjoying quarantine? Because I sure as hell am not. But yeah, when it comes to this chapter, it's basically what we've all wanted ever since we realized that Shigaraki, is alive, and the fact that he has One for All. So we don't get any explanation for like One for All in this chapter, but we do see what we all thought was going to happen. We get to see Shigaraki go all out, which does not bode well for the heroes in this chapter. I'm going to be blunt with y'all. The heroes, they get some mighty losses in this chapter. But before we actually get to that point, let's start off with covering the first few pages of this chapter, where we basically just get just a little bit of a perspective on what certain heroes have been doing in the city, and it's very obvious that the people who are in the city, evacuating the city right now, are students. They're not professional heroes who have been doing this for years. I think all the professional heroes are either in the hospital or in the hideout, so pretty much all of these are just regular like high school hero students. And we get to see, and this is something I really like about My Hero, is that we get to see more interactions of the students with other students. We get interactions between Bakugo and Shoto in a scene where like Bakugo is like basically yelling at these old ladies like, "Get out of here! Go to the shelter!" And the old lady is like, "Oh, thank you, young man. Would you like a bud?" He's like, "I don't want that." It just have Shoto is like, "Yo, you should accept that hospitality," and Bakugo is like, "You just want it for yourself." And like, I enjoyed it so much. And then you also have Suyu and Ochako in the background, and Suyu's like, "Oh, so he does this with old people too. It's not just us." So that's something that I really enjoyed. I really just enjoyed the interactions between the students. So we have Ida basically talking to this man, and it's like, the man is like, "Yo, make sure that my manuscript doesn't get destroyed." And he's like, "Don't worry, we'll make sure that it doesn't get destroyed. We won't destroy your building," being Ida. But probably the best part of like all of these interactions is that while you see like these people evacuating the city, you see Koda, who has the ability animal voice to talk to animals. He just has all the pets just leaving the city, and like it's like everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, it's so cute. He's looking at all the animals, and look, he's I'm pretty sure like a lot of them are girls like who are just fangirling over Kota now. So we know for a fact that Kota's gonna have a fan base now. It's probably gonna be of girls that really like animals. But he's like talking to the birds. It's like, okay, everything's all clear. And then we also cut over to Nejire and a hero with a airplane for a head. So that's My Hero. Nothing really surprising about that. But it's like everything's all clear. And Ida's like, okay, we got to make sure like we go to every apartment, every building to make sure like all of the people are out of there, specifically old people who probably couldn't get away. We're going to make sure that this city is evacuated. And I kind of jumped a ball a little bit for these 3 pages, but we also get a Burden, who's the sidekick for Endeavor, where she's like, "Okay guys, we just got to make sure that everyone's going to get out the city because this basically could potentially be a battleground." So we get all of this, and then we just see Deku in the background, and this is something that I really found interesting, and it's just building upon the interactions and the connections between One for All and All for One, to the point of like, he has the first user of One for All talking to him, and Deku's like, "Yo, it's been a while since like he's talked to me like this. Like, of everything that I've gone through up until now, this is finally the time that I'm able to speak to him again." And the original user's like, for the most part, is telling him that, "Hey, Shigaraki is awake. You have to defeat him. He's coming." It's like, to sum it up, he's like, Shigaraki is coming. Be prepared to like defeat him. And what I enjoyed most is like, he's like, "Yo, you're gonna have to defeat him." And I'm like, he can't. There's no way that he could probably defeat him now, meaning that most likely this is going to be the villain's win, which is something that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But just the fact that he's talking to him just kind of confirms the idea that the mindscape that we saw Shigaraki in is probably the similar, if not the same type of mindscape that we've seen Deku in, and the fact that Nanashimura was in that world space, even though Shigaraki never met him, shows that All for One and One for All are connected, meaning that they're connected like by the fact that they come from they're the original quirks of like siblings, but also the fact that they kind of share like a similar mind space where like they can potentially communicate with each other, which applies more credence to what I think is going to be towards the end of the series, where you're going to have Shigaraki and Deku talking to each other in this mind space right before the final battle, where they try to like communicate with each other and try to understand each other in this mind space, because that's what connects them together and like kind of like bridges that parallel gap between them, putting them in like basically like a safe space where they can talk to each other and potentially talk it out, but it will still lead to like a lot of destruction. But it just will show Deku in a different light, being a hero who would probably like talk first before action, in the contrast to All Might, which is fight then talk, or just fight period. So yeah, so we kind of get just more confirmation. Oh wow, my computer is about to die. But we basically get confirmation that they are connected, and that Deku is Deku is being told like, yeah, Shigaraki is coming, you need to like be prepared. For the next few pages though, it's just a whole lot of action. We start off this entire action sequence which the presumed death of Exless, and by presumed I mean Exless is dead. Like, and we also get just the confirmation that Shigaraki is alive when he says, I'm cold. And what I enjoyed about that is he says, I'm cold, and the next time that we see him, he's wearing a cape around him, and you may be thinking like, wait, where did he get the cape from? Exless is wearing the cape. He kills Exless for his cape before he starts like using the rest of his decay, because right now not right now, but in the chapter he uses decay, and the sequence that occurs is really amazing, where you just have the Doctor and you have Prison Mike exiting out the hallway. The heroes dispatch the rest of the high-end no moves, and as this is happening, you just see like the cracks of decay like get closer to Prison Mike and the Doctor, and the Doctor and Prison Mike just look in awe. One in like shock and being scared, and the other one is like in amazement as the wall where they're coming from begins to decay and fall apart, and like it's approaching Prison Mike, assuming to kill him. But luckily enough, a Gran Torino comes out of nowhere, saves him, so you know, Prison Mike survives this, so you know, that's great. But after this, Gran Torino begins to think like, yo, we underestimated Shigaraki, things are decaying when he's not in direct contact, we didn't know this, so everyone run. So we just see all of the heroes just trying to escape as fast as they can, and while this is also happening, Deku looks upon the hospital, and he's like, the hospital, as everyone else, all of the students look on it, sensing that something's about to go down. So they look at the hospital, and then we cut back over to like being inside the hospital. Everything is decaying. Ryukugu, the dragon lady, is like saving a whole lot of heroes, telling them like, let's go. She sees Eraserhead. Aizawa is like, get on, and Aizawa uses his little scarf thing to like get a hold of Ryukugu. Oh wow, that's a mouthful. As Aizawa takes a hold of Ryukugu, he gets caught by one of the other Hayanomu, who's in the process of being decayed. And while like he's hanging on and like preventing him from like flying to safety, we see something just cut through the Hayanomu's arm, which weirdly enough looks like a shield. Oh my gosh, it's Crust. Crust comes in for the save and then dies. Yeah, Crust just straight up decays. He dies with a smile as he puts his thumb up like, I got you, as Aizawa was looking on in just utter like despair and like just shock, like. So yeah, Crust is dead, and I'm gonna be honest, like, we didn't spend a whole lot of time with Crust, But I think that we spent enough time with him for me to get an attachment to him. Because when I saw him dying, I'm like, oh no. Oh, and he was just wanting to be a hero. And like, it's a comment made by like how he smiles and how he really looks up to All Might. He kind of embodies that as he saves Aizawa, and then he gives off a smile as he dies. And I'm just looking at him like, oh, he didn't, oh no. Like literally one of the top 10 heroes is dead now. And while this is all happening, the doctor would begin to speak, and I'll talk about exactly what he says a little bit later on. But we immediately start cutting over to the hospital, fully decaying. We see Wash as he apparently uses his quirk, which apparently he's able to use bubbles to carry like these hospital beds up into the air, preventing them from being decayed. But while he's doing this, it's very ambiguous on whether or not he survives this, because we also see some heroes in the background being decayed as well. So, you know, I'll just say this. Shigaraki has single-handedly killed, theoretically, like one main hero. One hero that we kind of got the name of. And in actuality, he kills probably 3 or 4 just no-name, like really not unimportant heroes. But that technically is more heroes killed now than like we've probably seen within the entirety of My Hero. Like, more heroes have probably died in this one instance of Shigaraki than in this entire series. So let's take that in. But not only is he doing that, he's decaying everything. The hospital, parts of the cities, and we even see the Wawa Pussycats as they're trying to escape. And then we see a Pixie Bob using her quirk to try to stop the decay, but very ambiguous on whether or not she, as well as the other Wawa Pussycats, survived this, because it's very apparent that the decay also decayed like her shield that she was trying to protect all the heroes from, as well as the rest of the city. And we also see the city also getting destroyed. And then we get to pretty much like the final few pages of the chapter, where the doctor begins talking about the fact that, oh, I was scared about all of things that y'all did, all of what Hero Society did up until this moment. Because right now, Shigaraki is awake, and like he would undo everything that Hero Society has done. This is the villain's victory, as we see the entire city begin to decay, as we get the reveal of Deku using 45%, full counting 45%, and uses St. Louis Smash Air Force to basically like kick like the debris of the decay. For the most part, like, looks like he tries to create a crater to try and prevent DK from like getting any closer, as he yells out to everyone else to run. While also something else that I kind of like glossed over, we see Burnin who's calling for Endeavor, and we do see Endeavor carrying Miracle out of the hospital. And this is around the same time that Ryuku also takes other heroes out of the hospital. So there are heroes that survive like this decay, but towards the end of the chapter, we see that the decay, like almost within instance, spreads from the hospital to the city, and like from what I've seen, like anything that touches it just instantly dies. Like Exless, dead. Crust, dead. Those random heroes that Wash probably couldn't save in time, dead. Wash is probably dead as well. The Wawa Pussycats could possibly be dead right now. So much death of the heroes, and this is just Shigaraki just like releasing all of his power at once, and there's really, from what we see now, there's nothing that they can do. So yeah, this is pretty much chapter, and like I said, like this is I will say this is the turning point for their villains. Up until now, like the villains have been on like the decline, like they've been like failing on each impossible moment. Hawks infiltrated their society and leaked their plans. That's bad. The heroes got the jump on them. That's bad. Sealed them underground. That's bad. Literally, like, was wrecking their shit. That's bad. Literally had one woman, like, burst into the hospital. The fact that they burst into the hospital, took out those Nomus, took out the high-end Nomus, freaking burst Shigaraki out of that test tube. everything was not going the villain's way. It was almost like a one-sided slaughter fest. But then Shigaraki woke up. And when Shigaraki woke up, the tables turned for the worse. If it was a balancing act, let me see if I can position it. This is the side of the heroes. This is the side of the villains. Heroes, heroes, heroes. Shigaraki wakes up. Whew. That balance got tipped so hard and so fast in the villain's favor. And this does not even include the fact that Gigantomachia is also sensing Shigaraki, his master's awakening, so he's also going to get involved in this fight as well. And I'll say this, like I said, there are very few heroes that seem to have died, but I do think that they are alive. Their fate seemed gosh, I cannot pronounce the word, ambiguous, when specifically the Wild Wild Pussycats and Wash, but I think that they're, for the most part, possibly still alive because they have potential abilities that could have helped them escape from the decay. But like, we just see a whole lot of heroes just straight up die, like get decayed. Like, we don't see any civilians die, which is good, and I think that's probably going to be a main like idea for this fight. Isn't that we should defeat the villains, we should defeat Shigaraki. It's more of like, we have to make sure that we survive to fight another day, and like make sure that the civilians don't get caught in the crossfire. Because I think by the end of this entire city is going to just be nothing but a glorified parking lot, and the heroes are going to lose. It's very televised right now that the heroes are going to lose. They're going to put up a good fight. We may see some of the heroes go up against like some of the other villains, but for the most part, this is going to be a one-sided slaughter fest, and there's really nothing that the heroes can really do at this moment to prevent it. So that's all I really want to say about this chapter. I also want to mention the fact, also something else is, oh my gosh, again, my computer is dying. I'm gonna charge it, but just the fact that we finally get to see Deku at another percentage. The fact of the matter is that throughout this entire series, like, he goes from a nothing to using 0% of All For One to using 100% and wrecking his stuff, then having to go full cowling 5%, 8%, 20%. Now he's at 45%, able to shoot out air forces with ease. I think we're gonna hopefully get a little bit more of Deku using his quirk, because in this chapter it's very obvious that he's not using float. He's just kicking the air using a St. Louis smash, which again, great to see the naming conventions of the superhero moves. I really love them in My Hero, but we get to see how powerful he has grown. And relatively speaking, this was a really long yet really short chapter. There was a lot of action, and I really did enjoy it. There was a lot of build up to this point, including the deaths of the heroes, and I really did enjoy this. If I could say that this chapter is, for the most part, it's pretty much like a 5 out of 5 for me. Just the build up to this point, and finally seeing the like sort of conclusion for the build up and what we're gonna have like next for the next like few chapters. I cannot wait to see it. I cannot wait to review it, and hopefully you can't wait to watch me like do the reviews as well. So hopefully you'll continue watching my videos, like this video, comment, subscribe, do all of that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in the next video. Huh? Goodbye. Or good morning, actually.